So grab a pen and write this down. It's not what you say, it's what they hear. Did you catch that? Maybe you've been having a conversation with a friend or a spouse or a son or a daughter or a mom or a dad. You keep saying the same thing and they keep hearing something completely different and you're frustrated because they're not listening to you. Has it ever dawned on you that it's not what you say, it's what they hear? On the show today, we're going to break down effective communication. But I can tell you right off the bat, this isn't going to be your normal class on effective communication. We're going to go deep. In fact, the first point today, we're actually going to go deep into your psychology to show you how to connect with more customers, how to make more money, how to have a bigger impact on the world, and how to take more time off. How to be an effective communicator is next. EdTalks Live is next. Hey, what's up, party people? My name's Ed Rush, 5-time #1 best-selling author, your host for the most positive place on the planet for insanely implementable ideas. As usual, jump into chat on the right-hand side. Tell me who you are, where you're from, what you do. Or if you're on Facebook, that's right below you, right in the comment section. Come on, say hello in chat. Introduce yourself to the EdTalks Live family. Today, we are talking about how to be a better communicator. And I'm going to go deep into some of the psychology of communication so that you can connect better with your prospects, flat out have more fun, and how to connect better with everybody that's around you. Because what I discovered is, like, you learn the stuff in business, man. You learn how to communicate and benefit and talk directly to the needs that somebody has in their own heart, and you help them grow their dreams, and then you find out later on that all the things that you learned in business work in your marriage. They work with a significant other. They work with your friends. They work with your kids. So the other day, this is an example. The other day, my 13-year-old, who is a 13-year-old, okay? And so he was just having one of those days, man. Like, you ever have one of those days? You have one of those days. I've had one of those days. Sometimes you just have one of those days. And he was having one of those days, man. It was just one of those 13-year-old days. And normally, a parent would deal with that by telling this kid how bad they're behaving. But I remembered it's something that I learned about communication. I learned that one of the most important things that you can do is communicate effectively to yourself. And so the things that you say to yourself are important. What I realized flying airplanes was that I would be in the middle of a dogfight and I would make a mistake. And in the airplane, for real, in the airplane with that helmet on that's sitting right behind me, I would scream to the oxygen mask to myself, "Oh, you idiot." And I would say it to myself all the time. Well, look, you keep telling your subconscious mind you're an idiot, you're going to start being an idiot, okay? And so I learned that the first step for effective communication is how to communicate with yourself. So take you back to the 13-year-old situation earlier this week. My son's having one of those days. I'm sitting in the kitchen. My temptation as a parent is to just unleash the fury, okay? And I just looked at him and I said, "Hey, man, this isn't who you are. I mean, you're a good kid. You're a smart kid. You know what's right, and you almost always do what's right. You're a good kid. But how you're behaving is not who you are." I want you to think about that for a second. Just think about the difference in how to communicate. By the way, I mess this up all the time too. Just think about the difference in how you might use some of the tools that I'm going to be showing you today in business to better communicate with your kids, with your parents, with a spouse or a friend or a significant other. Okay, so if you just joined me, by the way, my name is Ed Rush. This is how to be a better communicator. Jump in the chat, tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do. I'd love to just say hello to you, and I'm going to jump up on the whiteboard. We're going to start teaching. By the way, today I'm going to do something totally different. I have not done this before, but what I'm going to do is actually use, in just a little while, I'm going to use the introduction to one of my talks. It's about an 11-minute introduction. I'm going to break that down to show you some key points on communicating. What's up, Barry? He's in here early today, baby. And he said, "Are you live?" By the way, sometimes there's been, it's not many, handful of shows. Like a few weeks ago, I had a mastermind group that I pre-recorded a show. Sometimes I tell you that, by the way, but most of the time you'll know. So what's up, Robert? By the way, you know, because I'm not saying your name. The chat streams below, but we're live. With just I did it before. What's up, Joe? Good to see you as well. Hey, Diana. Good morning. Love the relaxing picture. I was thinking about you because you said a nice comment about my other picture, which is this one. This is my show, by the way, next Thursday. So thank you. You guys are the best. Okay, so for those of you just joined me, my name is Ed Rush. This is how to be a better communicator. Today we're talking about how you can flat out dial in your communication, connect with more prospects, customers, and have a whole lot more fun. Okay, so I'm going to grab my pens. You grab a pen too. We're going to talk about how you can be a more effective communicator. We're going to break down in a moment one of my introduction to one of my talks. I'm going to show you some of the key components of that. Okay, so the first step, or the first thing we're going to talk about today in terms of how to be an effective communicator is to be you. Did you catch that? I didn't even have enough room on my slide to tell you the number of yous that you needed to be. Here's the reason for this. There is it's funny the things that you remember from high school. There's something my high school teacher used to quote. He was my high school English teacher. He used to quote this all the time. It was from, I think it's T.S. Eliot, the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. And he used to say, there will be time to prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet. Man, if you think about that long enough, that's profound. Is that you're preparing a face to meet the faces that you meet. Think about that for a moment. That's the history of the world, is that everyone has been putting a face on to meet the people who have already put their face on. I think, you know what would be interesting? What would it be interesting if you were you in the world? I'm talking about real, raw, authentic you. There's this move in the personal development world towards transparency. That's not even getting close to it. I'm talking about being you, the one that you were created to be, the person who was given a vision or a message or a passion to serve the world in a certain way. You, exactly you. Okay, and the reason that I tell you this is because it's very common when people get out into the public sphere to take someone else's personality on, okay? So I used to work as one of my very first consulting deals. I did a lot of marketing for this well-known speaker. And this well-known speaker had a cadre of people who followed around behind him who were also speakers, but when they got on stage, they sounded like that guy, not them. Now, I'll just tell you, there is a certain, it's okay in the first steps to pattern yourself after people. We've done that our whole lives, right? You get up when you're 2 years old, you start to learn how to walk or talk, and you're patterning yourself after someone. So there's nothing wrong with that at first. But if it keeps going, you've got a problem, okay? Because those are meant to be training wheels. People that you see, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Jonathan Sprinkles, people who you think are great speakers, you're meant to pattern them at first to learn some of the techniques that they teach and then to be you, okay? Now, here's the challenge. I got an email this week from one of my favorite clients ever. This is a person who is going to completely change the world. I'm talking about talented, gregarious. She has a model for teaching people that is blow your mind, okay? And she asked me a question that I get asked all the time. She said, you know, I'm challenged right now with feeling like an imposter sometimes, you know, like people are gonna find out. And I said, well, welcome to the club. Because everybody who puts themselves out there publicly, I don't care if it's one Instagram post or 132 episodes of EdTalks Live, okay? I don't care how many times there's this voice that's inside of you that says, man, you're not real. That's fake. You're just making this stuff up. You're leading people astray. Did you hear all those things? What I just said, all those things, those are called lies, okay? So the challenge with this is that there's actually two categories of critics. Some of you read about this in 21 Day Miracle. There's your inner critic. That's the voice that's constantly going on inside of your head, okay? And then there's the outer critic. Now, I'm not gonna go too deep into this today because I will tell you on Thursday, we are gonna go deep into it when I talk on the show about how to deal with criticism. Today, we're talking about how to communicate effectively. But here's the biggest challenge when it comes to being a communicator, when it comes to the criticism, okay? And I'm just quickly going to talk on how to deal with critics or criticism, okay? So now, here's the deal. Your job, your first job is to eliminate this and to become whole, a whole human being, okay? Because if you are whole, what happens is you might get a critic that comes and says, you're just trying to lead people astray. You're just in it for the money, okay? And if you're a whole person, that criticism goes boink and just bounces off, okay? So, full transparency, there used to be a time when 1-star reviews really bugged me, okay? It doesn't bother me anymore. At least as much, maybe a little bit, but like at least as much as it used to be. Last I checked, 21 Day Miracle, my book on Amazon, or on my Amazon page for that book, had almost 400 reviews. 400. Last I checked, about 7% of those reviews were 1-star reviews. Okay, so do the math. That's like 28 1-star reviews. Now, if I spent my time thinking about those things, I'd be depressed all day long. Now, 70% of the reviews or whatever are 5-star. Those are really good. Those are really good. I'm going to talk on Thursday how to deal with this. But if I'm sitting here telling myself, man, you're fake. Man, your advice isn't worth anything. One person's review was, this is 99-cent book with 99-cent advice. I'm like, man, that hurts. Okay. But look, I already know it's good. I know people whose lives have been transformed because of that book. I know people whose marriages were restored because of that book. Okay, so I know it's good. So when somebody says 99 cents advice, I'm like, boom, bounces off. But here's the challenge. Let's say your inner critic has been saying, hey, you're a fake. You're an imposter. And somebody says to you, you're an imposter. When somebody says that, the challenge with criticism, the challenge with that is when it partners with this BS inner voice thing that you've got going on, okay? And it brings you down, not because of the criticism, but because the voice is agreeing with the thing that you've been saying to yourself all the time, okay? So when you get over that, what you understand is that you were created amazing. Listen to this for a moment. Just listen to this for a moment. You were created in the image of God. Think about that for a moment. Sometimes, I'll mention passages out of the old scriptures, the Old Testament. Sometimes they can come and go quickly. But I want you to just anchor on this one for just a moment. Wherever you come from, it's fine, okay? When you come into this discussion, you're family, okay? You were created in the image of God. The old Latin said, Imago Dei. In fact, it was so important in the very first chapter, maybe it was the second chapter of Genesis. It says it 3 different ways. God created them in his image. In his image, he created them male and female. He created them. He used the Hebrew poetry to round it out 3 separate times. And anytime you see something 3 times, that means it's important, okay? So think about this for a second. You are created in the image of God. But not only that, you are also called a son or a daughter of God. He says you're his son or his daughter. Now, let me just tell you, I have 4 kids, all right? 15, 13, 12, 2. My kids have privileges that other kids don't have. Some kid just showed up at my house, started rummaging through my pantry, and started eating my potato chips. I would at least like to know who that was. I think I would feel a little offended if somebody just walked into my house and started rummaging through my house and eating my potato chips. But you know what? Right now, I think probably someone is upstairs rummaging through the pantry and eating my potato chips. I would have a real issue, if somebody just came on off the street. Like right now, we've got some folks that are working out in our yard right now. I would have a real issue. I love the guy that works in my yard, Edgar. Man, I've known him for 13 years. I mean, this guy's a friend at this point, okay? But it would be really weird if Edgar walked into my house and made a grilled cheese. I would make him a grilled cheese if he asked me for one, but it would be really weird if he walked into my house and made a grilled cheese. But in about an hour, right here at my house, one of my kids is going to make a grilled cheese. Okay? And I won't even think twice about it. It won't feel weird. Why? Because my kids have privileges. They have the right, actually, they have some rights that a lot of other kids don't have, but they definitely have some privileges in this house that some people don't have. On the other side, like, it would be weird if I walked out into the yard right now and I put my hand around Edgar and I'm like, man, I just love you. I'm just so proud of you and the man that you've become. With my landscaper, but I would do that with my son. I would do that all the time with my son. So you are made in the image of God, and you are a son or a daughter of the King, and you're worried about how many likes you get on your Facebook post? I mean, come on, think about that for a second. Just think about that for a second. Whose hands have you put the opinion of yourself? Okay? So start with this, okay? Start with Imago Dei, the image of God, the son or the daughter of the King. Then move on to this. He's created you to do something amazing. And you know what? I know it's been hard, and I know you haven't done it yet, and I know there's bumps in the road, and I know COVID comes, and I know financial hardship comes at times, and I know people don't treat you the way they should, and I know a spouse doesn't believe in you the way that he or she should, okay? And I know that your kids sometimes grow up and they don't appreciate the things that you did for them, and I know your parents were supposed to affirm you and they maybe didn't. I know your brother and sister who were supposed to come along and be like, go, you can do it, and encourage you and help you to process all these things along the way and to be amazing, and they were supposed to be there and they weren't, and who cares? Okay, because you got these things set in place and you were created to do something amazing. So when you stand there and look at that camera, or you walk up on stage, or you sit down to write that book, forget the other stuff, be you. Because you are a very attractive person. The moment you're you, the moment you look into the camera with authenticity, as the person you are, you're going to change the world. People are naturally attracted to that. Like the person that's talking to you right now, this is me. There's no funny, fake BS back of the thing. This is real. This is what I believe. This, when I go for walks in the morning, wake up this morning, this one's for this beautiful walk. When I go for walks in the morning, this is the things that I'm thinking about. Okay? I'm thinking about, man, how do I get this message across so that I can help people change the world? This is me. This is who I was created to be. Okay? To help you do this. One of the things I was created to do, among many. So step one is to be you. Okay? If you need some help breaking through some of those things, all it is just understanding some of the lies that you're believing about yourself and what's true. And some of you have done this exercise with me before where we've gone through what lies you believe, what's true. If you're interested in learning more about that, we'll put a link below in the comment section, and we'll also put, Delisa, if you can find the most recent Hearing from God exercise, we'll do that. This is one of the most powerful things you can do, because the moment you step on stage as the real, authentic you, the world's going to tremble. Okay? Two things are going to happen. Number one, real people are going to respond to you. Real people are going to go, oh my gosh, that is amazing. I've never seen anything like that before. Even if you're not very good, by the way. Even if you're not very good, they're still going to respond that way when you're you. Remember, I said two things are going to happen. Number one, the right people are going to respond to you, and they're going to become attracted to your message and to you. They're going to follow you, and they're going to help you grow. That's the first thing. And the second thing is you're going to have some criticism. Remember, I said 7% of my book reviews are one-star reviews. I consider about 7 to 12% correct. If I had 0 one-star reviews, I would not have a book that sold as many copies. I've sold over 30,000 copies of that book. I would not have a book that sold over 30,000 copies if I had no one-star reviews, because great messages attract and repel. Now, here's a secret. This is between us, okay? So I want you to keep that. I'm going to tell you this, and then you can't tell anybody else, okay? This is just between us. Now, do you want to know why people are critical of you? Do you want to know why your sister's jealous or angry at you, or your parents or a spouse or your grown-up kids say the things they do? Here's what happens. This is crazy when you think about it. When you're you, the real you, the authentic you that you were created to be, what happens is you step out there on that stage or in front of that camera or on YouTube or whatever it is, And when you're you, the real you, there's the first step I said people are attracted to you, but there's this other group of people. And you know what they do? They see someone who's being themselves. They see somebody who's fully themselves. And it reminds them that they're not. In that moment, they have one of two choices to make. Either number one, they can choose to change, and they can be the person they were created to be. Or they can retreat into criticism. Did you catch that? They see you, and it reminds them of what they're supposed to be. Now, most people can't even put words to this, by the way, but it reminds them of what they're supposed to be. So in their jealousy, what they do is they retreat into criticism. Okay? And you see this everywhere. Like, for real, do you think millions of people were really upset that Tom Brady wasn't wearing a mask? Or do you think maybe, just maybe, there's a world of people who are like, man, I wish I was Tom Brady. You know, I wish I was like married to a supermodel, had millions of dollars and drove a Bentley and was a quarterback on a football team and had no problems like Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady has problems like everybody else does, you know what I'm saying? But like, do you think that really is true? Do you think it's really true that they were really upset about the fact that Tom Brady wasn't wearing a mask? Or do you think maybe, just maybe, they retreated into criticism? Let me tell you one thing. When you understand this, man, it'll change everything for you. It'll change everything for you. Okay? So that's step number one. Actually, it was step number 1 and 2, which is being you and dealing with critics. And by the way, just so you know, on Thursday, we're going to go a little deeper on this. I'm going to show you, I got some steps for you, because I got asked this question the other day, and I really needed to think about it. Okay, let me jump into chat really quickly. So good. Boom. What's up? Blessing report. My man, I'm going to have you on, dude, one of these days. I told you on the new show. What's up, Rob Jones? Good to see you. Rob said, I used to believe so many lies about myself. I'm just me now. Yeah, you are a badass, dude. I like that. That's so good. Truth penetrates. It's hard to handle for some people, most people. Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. By the way, for those of you who just joined us, my name's Ed Rush. This is How to Be a Better Communicator. And there should be about 500 times more people on this show. So what I want you to do right now is click the share button. I've done 132 of these episodes, and I've probably asked that 6 times, okay? So push the button. Tell your friends. Be like, you need to watch this. Have them go back to the beginning if you want to, because it's gonna be good for them, okay? So we're talking about how to be a better communicator. Step number 1 was to be you. Step number 2 is deal with critics, okay? So on how to be a better communicator, step number 3 is speak with 99% certainty, even when you're personally at 70%. I don't know why I love this point so much, okay? So 99% certainty, even if you're at 70%. I'm telling you all the secrets today, okay? Now, what I'm going to teach you, it sounds inauthentic, but it's actually really authentic, okay? Here's the thing. We live in a complicated world. We live in a dangerous world. We live in a world that is in the process of destroying itself. So I'm going to speak specifically about the United States right now. And by the way, it doesn't matter what I'm about to say. I'm just saying you're going to agree with this, whether you're a Republican, Democrat, left, right, Libertarian, Green Party, okay, wherever you are, okay, I'm sure you're going to agree with what I'm about to say, which is this. We've been led by some really bad people. And I'm not talking about the president. And I'm not talking about the last president. I'm talking about everybody. I'm talking about everybody. Look, I have friends of mine who work in the Beltway in Washington professionally. Their job is politics. And what will happen is somebody will go to Washington with good intentions and a good heart, and they want to clean things up, and within 4 years, they are part of the establishment. Talking like the establishment, taking money from all these companies like the establishment. It happens that quickly. We're led by people with compromised morality. And because of that, they're making bad decisions with regard to our country, okay? money is one of those things. Like the economic decisions we're making, just the printing of monopoly money, that has long-term repercussions. Like you and I in our lifetimes will see the repercussions of that economic policy. It could be an economic collapse, hopefully not, but it's going to be close, okay? Hyperinflation followed by deflation, followed by who knows what when it comes to our debt. It's going to be difficult, okay? The student loan situation, the corporate loan situation, the personal debt, that's off the chart, okay? So we have a challenge, we have a big challenge as a country when it comes to leadership and the economy. We also have a challenge in the fact that for a long time, we haven't been teaching our kids the right things. And so we have a generation that's grown up not even knowing about God. We've got a generation that doesn't understand civics, literally doesn't understand how a president is elected or how our Congress is put into place. Those are pretty significant problems. But I'm going to look you in the eye and tell you something that I believe in with all my heart. The change is coming. The fix for this is coming down the pike. I know hundreds of people who spend their weeks praying, searching, and acting for a solution to all the problems that I just mentioned. I know people all over the place who are excited about what's coming next, okay? Let me tell you, if you're sad about our country, if you're disgusted about what you're seeing right now, the good news is great things are coming. There's one of my favorite verses in the Bible says, can a nation change in a day? You know the answer to that question is yes. And so as difficult as it feels and as, oh my gosh, as hopeless as it can feel sometimes, there's going to be change coming and it's going to get better and it's going to get better fast. Okay, now pause for just a moment. What I just did is exemplify, give you an example of speaking with 99% certainty, even if you're at 70%. Okay? Now, the key to this is, look, I know it's going to get better. I really do. I don't know how soon. I mean, what I've got planned is supposed to take about 4 years. But in a normal time frame, it would take about 40 years. Okay? So I don't really know when. I'm not even sure how exactly. I got some ideas. Like I have some ideas as to how. I'm not totally sure how, and I'm not totally sure when. Okay, but you didn't hear that in that little soliloquy that I just gave. I didn't go, man, I don't know when or how. It could take 40 years or it could take 4 years. That's the uncertain part. You didn't hear that part. You heard the certain part, okay? Because I'm about 70% sure to speak about 99% sure. Now, there's some interesting things that happens when you and by the way, this was in integrity, okay? Everything I said is true. Everything I said, I believe. I left a couple of things out about the things, some of the things that I'm uncertain about, okay? Now, when you do this as a communicator, this is why this is so powerful. When you do this, the things that you're 99% certain about become 100% true. So when you start talking about them, they actually become the reality because you're talking about them. You see, like when I communicate this, people come around me and go, let's do this. And because people come around me and say, let's do this, then it becomes more possible. You see that? But if I'm like, oh, I'm not really sure, we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm hoping for the best. People don't follow that. People don't follow, I don't know, let's see. People don't follow like, it depends. People follow, this is the way, let's go. Okay? This is the why this is so important. Okay? So, point number two, I got one more point, and then I'm going to give you an example. Point number two is speak with 99% certainty, even when you're personally at 70%. By the way, if you just joined us, this is How to Be a Better Communicator. My name is Ed Rush. Click the share button. All right. And also, Thursday show is how to deal with credit. You're going to love this part. Okay. Now, last thing real quick. We're talking today about how to be a better communicator. Last point. It's about them. Remember on point number one when I said be you? This is about them. Okay? Here's the thing. Most people talk about themselves too much. And when they're not talking about themselves, most people are talking about we, which is basically still talking about you. Okay? Like, oh my goodness, look at the governors in this country right now. Like, they cannot stop talking about what they've done. Nobody cares about that, okay? Talk about what other people have done. So, it's about them. It's about you. And the reason I'm writing you is because when you're speaking, you're going to say you. And I don't know if you noticed this or not, but that whole last paragraph was about you. When you're speaking, you're going to say you. Okay? Now, when I say you, I'm speaking in the second person singular. I'm not saying you all or all you all. I'm saying you. When you're watching me communicate, you should feel like I'm talking to you. You're going to see an example of that in just a moment because you're talking to you. So, one of the most powerful things that you can do is go look at your writing and just search for the capital letter I. And turn those I's as quickly as possible into U's. Like, for example, your biography. Your bio oftentimes sounds like this. And then I went to college, and then I went to this school, and then I wrote this book, and then I started this business, and we've been in business for 30 years, and who cares, and now I'm asleep, and everyone else is too, okay? And no matter how exciting your biography is, people aren't all that interested in what you did. They're more interested in their favorite radio station, which is WIIFM, which stands for What's in It For Me, okay? So, people say, I was on this TV show last week, or 2 weeks ago, and the guy said, who is Ed Rush in a nutshell? And I went, I use fighter pilot strategies to show busy, heart-centered entrepreneurs just like you how to make more money, have a bigger impact, and take more time off. Now, here's the crazy thing about that question. The question was about me. So it would have been perfectly fine for me to answer the question with me as the subject, and I started it that way, and then quickly changed the subject halfway through the sentence, actually not even halfway, about a third of the way through the sentence, into you. Check it out. I use fighter pilot strategies. That's the biography part, and I put the fighter pilot thing in the first sentence. So I'm talking about me. I use fighter pilot strategies to help busy, heart-centered entrepreneurs just like you to make more money, have a bigger impact, take more time off. Did you see that? That's a magic trick. That is a magic trick. You change the subject in the middle of the sentence. That's a magic trick. You go from I to you. You give me any paragraph, man, I'm going to change it into a benefit for them. I spent 100 years teaching this. I was a professor here. Here's what this means to you. That's all you need to say. Here's what this means to you. Okay? So, 3 main points. Number 1, be you. Part of that was dealing with critics. Number 2, 99% certainty even when you're personally at 70%. Number 3 is it's about them. Okay? So that's the overview for today on how to be a better communicator. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play for you the introduction to my last event. Some of you it was almost a year ago, some of you were at Big Pivot in Dallas. Some of you watched Big Pivot when you were on Zoom at Dallas. By the way, how many of you miss live events? Man, I miss live. Come on, let's do it again sometime soon. Oh man, I missed live events. All right, so we'll do it again sometime soon. So I'm going to play for you the introduction to, I actually think this was the event before Big Pivot, which was the Ultimate Speaker event that I did 2 years ago. So I want to take you into this clip, and I want you to just watch this for a minute or two. And I want you to see the things that I'm teaching, the certainty, the being myself or being you, being you, and how I'm speaking to the audience. Okay, so let's watch this together.
All right, you ready to rock and roll? If you are, say hoorah. How many returning veterans been to my events before? Raise your hand, stick it up. All right, here's what we're going to do. You know what we're going to do. So there is a term that we use in the Marine Corps. It is a term of inspiration. It's a term of motivation. If I'm talking to my Marines, I'll say, does that make sense, Marines? If it does, say hoorah. My Marines will say hoorah. Hoorah. Now, if you've ever heard a Marine do this before and it sounded like a dog barking, have you ever heard a Marine go, ugh? That's a word. I don't know if you knew that or not. Marines have never been known for their ability to, pronounce words properly or speak in complete sentences. But in a classroom environment like this, I say, Marines, does that make sense? If it does, they say hoorah. My Marines say back, hoorah. All right, so we're going to have a little competition, okay? This is not the last competition we're going to do together, but it is the last competition from this side of the room to this side of the room, okay? So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to have you stand up. I'm going to ask you a question. If you agree to the answer to the question, you're going to respond with a motivated Marine Corps hoorah. Okay, just one warning, though. It's got to come from down here, okay? Because if you do it from up here, you'll start to lose your voice, all right? So this side of the room, stand up real quick. Put your pens down, coffee mugs down if you got it. I'm going to ask you a question, and it goes like this. If you are motivated, dedicated, ready to be here today, would you please say hoorah? Hoorah! All right, have a seat. That was very good, by the way. Come on, stand up over here. Now, you heard that, right? Okay, so just a little bit louder. If you are motivated, dedicated, ready to be here today, would you please say hoorah? Hoorah! All right, that was good. That was good. You're going to get another chance. Stay standing up. Stand up over here. Here's the deal. Somebody told me that there's some weather coming into Dallas, and I choose to not believe that storm's coming in. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give a motivated Marine Corps hoorah that's so loud and powerful that the storm cells that are about 50 miles to the west of us right now just take a detour to the north and the south, and we're fine. We don't even get wet. Would you do that with me? Yes. All right, so here you go. If you are motivated, dedicated, ready to be here today, would you please say hoorah? Hoorah! All right, you guys are awesome. Give yourself a round of applause and have a seat. That was good, by the way. Hello, Nicole Gephardt, right here. I saved you a seat right up in the front. You're going to learn about Nicole here in about, 4 or 5 hours, something like that. We have a competition today. I don't know if you knew that or not. It's called the Ultimate Speaker. 4 amazing people are going to come up on stage to win the title of Ultimate Speaker. But before we do that, let me ask you a question. What do you do when you have 10 seconds to live? What do you do when you have 10 seconds to live? I was faced with that decision back on July 25th, 1999. Some of you know I was a Marine Corps fighter pilot. Every Marine pilot, our entire training, first 3 years, happens in the Navy. The Navy had these ships. They're called aircraft carriers. And for some reason, sometime way back in the 1930s, somebody got the idea that we should land airplanes on these things. So right at the end of your flight training with the Navy, you do your carrier landings. But at the end of your carrier landings, as a Navy or Marine Corps fighter pilot, you do your night carrier landings. Now, there are 9 countries in the world that fly aircraft carriers. England, India, China, just to name a few. But the only country that does it at night, United States of America. How about that, huh? Yeah, that's crazy. Why would you land on an aircraft? Stop clapping. That is not, no, don't do that. It's scary, okay? Some people call it courage. Some people call it, no, it's not any of those things. It's sheer stupidity. Look, I've known pilots who have over 1,000 carrier landings. I asked them, do you ever get used to it? They said the day carrier landings are great. I always get used to those. How about the night ones? Never. They're terrified. And by the first time you go out to do your first night carrier landing, now listen, you had trained for 3 years. And most of those training flights, you had an instructor in your backseat. That instructor was there to make sure that you were safe, that you didn't kill yourself, and that you didn't kill anyone else. But when you do your first night carrier landing, you're all alone. Now, I don't know why they do that. I think it's like a risk mitigation thing. Like, if we're going to lose them, it might as well be the young pilot, So there you are, about to do your first night carrier landing. You're all alone in an airplane and quite scared. And honestly, it was a beautiful night. The moon was out. The stars were out. Everything was amazing except for one thing. Starting at about maybe 500 feet above the water and ending at about maybe 1,500 feet above the water was a very thick, overcast cloud layer. And that cloud layer would be the source of a pretty significant problem for me that night. Now, I was off the coast of San Diego. Some of you are familiar with the marine layer that moves in and then moves out off the coast of San Diego. That was that cloud layer that I was facing. And that day, when I lined my aircraft up behind the USS Stennis and descended into that cloud layer at about 11 miles, going about 300 miles an hour, a condition came upon me which can only be described as vertigo. Now, I don't know if you've ever experienced vertigo before. The best way for me to define that is if I was to stand you right in this room, blindfolded, spin you around about maybe 20 times, and then stop, that very dizzy, disoriented feeling, that's vertigo. Now, in a room like this, vertigo can be nauseating, it can be very uncomfortable, but it won't kill you. But when you're in an airplane flying a little over the water at about 350 miles an hour, vertigo can kill you in an instant. And so that night, what I felt in my airplane was a gentle rolling sensation to the left. Now, What does every great pilot do when you feel your airplane moving to the left? You take your control stick and do what? Start moving it to the right. And as I started to do that, I looked up at my primary instrument. It's called my heads-up display. That instrument tells me if I'm climbing, descending, turning left, or turning right. And according to that instrument, at least, I'm flying straight and level. Now, the rolling sensation picks up now harder to the left as I go to move my control stick to the right, look back at my heads-up display, and at least according to that instrument, which I'm pretty sure is broken at this point, I'm flying perfectly straight and level. At this point, my brain starts screaming at me, roll right! You're gonna die, because in my head what I saw was the airplane was now violently turning to the left, and I felt like it was in this tight spin, harder and harder to the left, and any minute I was gonna break out of the clouds, see the Pacific Ocean, and slam into the Pacific Ocean, a $40 million airplane with a young 25-year-old pilot inside, completely unsurvivable. And so as I went to move my control stick now completely and violently to the right, I hear a voice. You ever heard that voice before? It's not an out loud voice. It's that voice you just know. It's the voice of training. And that voice, some of you are pilots, you know these 3 words. That voice told me 3 words. Trust your instruments. Trust your instruments. That voice was the voice of my instructor, who had been told by his instructor, who had been told by her instructor, who had been told by his instructor, all the way back to the beginning of an instrumented flight. Look, this airplane is rock solid. You will fail in this airplane. You will make mistakes. You won't even know where you are sometimes, but that instrument right there will remain rock solid. And you know what? I flew over 1,000 hours in the F-18. That instrument never failed me. And even if it would have, we have a backup. And so when faced in the cockpit, I had basically 2 decisions to make. I could trust my instincts, like they tell you in Top Gun, right? Or I could trust my training. I could trust everything that I knew to be true in that moment, and I could trust my instruments. I chose to trust my instruments that night, and it made all the difference in the world. Broke out of the clouds at 700 feet, saw the back of the aircraft carrier. Breathed a big sigh of relief as I realized I'm alive. And that anticipation picked right back up again as I realized what? Now you got to land on this thing. Okay, so here's the deal. This is the part of the story I don't normally tell, but I feel like I'm among friends. So is it okay if I just tell you the whole truth about the rest of the story? If that would be okay, say hoorah. Hoorah. All right, there are 4 carrier wires. 1, 2, 3, 4. Your goal as a pilot is to land between the 2nd and the 3rd wire. Perfect landing, catching the 3rd wire with your tail hook. If you're a little bit short, you land and you catch the 2nd wire. That's not a great grade, but it is a safe landing. However, if you're very short and you catch the 1st wire, that is the worst grade that you can get. And it is a very unsafe landing because you're really close to the back of the aircraft carrier. But if you land like really far back, I'm talking like way back there, the flight deck is metal, the hook on the airplane is metal, and when they meet, they sparkle. And the pilots call that a sparkler because there's just sparks flying down the entire runway of that aircraft carrier. What makes matters worse is all your buddies are sitting up on an area called Vulture's Row. They've got helmets on, and they're standing outside literally watching you about kill yourself, okay? So my landing that day was a 27-foot sparkler. I know because the next day I went out and I found the little mark that my tail hook made way, way back in the back of the aircraft. 27-foot sparkler into the 1 wire. The taxi director who wears a yellow shirt, normally they're supposed to be standing here. That guy was way down there for some reason. I don't know why he was so far away, but he was way down there expecting me to catch one of those wires, but I cut this wire back here, and as I rolled out on the back of the USS Stennis on my first carrier landing with the worst grade that you can get on a carrier landing, did I care? No! Why? Because I was alive. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Way up there at the top, I was alive. I look down, my knees are bouncing off the cockpit floor. I've got sweat pouring off of my face onto my oxygen mask. My stomach is in a knot, and all of a sudden I go, I'm alive. I am alive. I'm sitting on top of this aircraft carrier alive because of one amazing idea. Would you agree that trust your instruments is a good idea? Amazing idea. Life-saving idea. You know what? Trust your instruments isn't even worth the paper it's printed on. Without what? Without what? Without implementation. Without action. Without taking an idea and putting it into practice. So, as we start this training together, listen, I got news for you. I got more stuff than you can do. This is it. The next 3 days. I've got a 6 days of training in about 3 days. Okay? There's more than you can do. There's more than you can implement in a year. Here's my suggestion for you. You're not here for 100 ideas. You're not even here for 200 ideas or 300 ideas or even 50 ideas. You're here for one amazing idea. If you got one idea that made you another $1 million this year, would it be worth coming here for this? Yep. One idea. Here's the thing. In this room, over the next 3 days, ideas are going to just start coming in through the wall. And they're just going to go right out there, and as they come in, it's your job to just grab them and put them down and take them into implementation. Because I'm telling you, there are going to be some ideas you're going to get in this training from me, from some of my other trainers that are coming in here to talk to you. There's going to be some ideas that will change your life. There's going to be some ideas that are going to change your business. There's going to change your impact. There's going to be some ideas that change your... Who's got it? Hold on a second.
All right. That's the part of the... That's the part of the thing where somebody's phone rang. So I won't play that part. I answered it. So, okay, back to the point. So hopefully that was helpful for you to see a live demonstration of that. Okay, so step number one, be you. Yeah, I didn't have that happen, thankfully. Maybe down the road. Was there certainty? Of course there was. And then I spoke to them, especially towards the end. The whole story about the carrier landing, it sounded like a story that I was talking about me, but fundamentally it was a story about the people who were there. People who were there were learning about the fact that they were going to need to walk away not with a million ideas, but with one idea. The entire point of that story was about them. Okay? So today we covered 4 main points on how to be a better communicator. By the way, click that like button down below. And if you haven't subscribed to the show, please do that. This Thursday, I'm going to do a show that I've been meaning to do for a long time, which is how to deal with criticism. And on the show, I'm going to talk about some of the tools and techniques that I use to overcome what turns into sometimes quite a bit of criticism, and how to not only use that, not only overcome it, but actually how to use it as fuel. Okay, we'll talk about that on Thursday. I got some great stuff coming down the road. There's a new show. I was going to actually launch it this week, but I've got some great stuff that's coming with that we couldn't get it off the ground this week for good reason. It wasn't delays. It was because we had there's some good stuff happening there, which I'll share with you as we get a little bit closer down the road. All right, that's it for today. Don't forget, you have a message or a product or a service that's going to change the world, and it's your job to get it out there. One of the most effective ways that you can do that is to communicate in such a way that they hear the message that you're saying. Because remember what I said at the beginning of the show, it's not what you say, it's what they hear. All right? And hopefully that was helpful for you. I will talk to you on Thursday. EdTalks Live is out.